actually I came to the conclusion that the only reason for spirituality is the refinement of your mind. What do you mean by refinement of the mind? If I want to have a certain experience, I need to have a mind, because the experience translates through your nerve system. The mind needs to capture that. The mind needs to be there. If you want to have more and more subtle experience of your life, then your mind needs that refinement. But the beauty of this is that the refinement of the mind, or the prescription for the refinement of the mind, is very simple. The mind gets refined when you make the unconscious or the subconscious conscious. So every time that you are in a breathing meditation method, you're concentrating your mind on your breath, then the mind is taking something that it does. The body breathes. You're not conscious of it. But the moment you make it conscious, the mind refines itself. The same thing, the mantra, the ultra-primordial nature of the mantra, when you are in it, refines the mind. So when we are changing the world, we need a form of meditation or practice that refines the mind in relationship to that change we are looking for. And here, the meditation method that actually does it best is that one that takes the mind from observation or investigation into concentration. Many meditation methods are observation. You just are there, you don't attach to anything, you flow. Nothing wrong with it, but the outcome might not necessarily be what we want right now, given that the window is closing. So we need some sort of a method that does it now, and we don't wait too long to find out that, yes, now I want to change the world, but 20 years from now. So the essence of many of the sutras of the Buddha is about concentration. Actually, in the sutras that I devoted 4 months to dig in and practice, 80% of them were explanation of the great importance of concentration. So a meditative state where you're just an investigator or a witness is not going to lead for people to look for the forms of interaction to change the world. And the third is that we need a yardstick for the refinement of the mind. The ideal sign of the best refinement of the mind is that the mind stops, actually. That the mind is not like a macaco mind, that you are from tree to tree, trying to... There are people, for example, that I say, close your eyes and say, I can't. My mind goes crazy. In the Vedas, they call it macaco mind, from branch to branch, and you don't stop. For example, Lompo Wat Paknam, the one who is here close to me, he in his books that are just coming out in English, he says that actually the success in a spiritual life is when everything stops. So concentration is fundamental, and then you need to find a yardstick. You need to find a reference point against which you say, yes, if I'm here, actually I shorten the distance between myself now and myself in changing the world. And what is that point of reference? Your contract in life, who you are. In the language of Pali and Sanskrit, you are Dharma. If you are in Dharma, your reference point is perfect. If you're outside of Dharma, then it's very difficult, to be. So if you take all I have said until now, inner stroke, inner change, different toolkits, a meditation that doesn't take you out but takes you in, refinement of the mind, and Dharma, the essence of the meditation that we all should practice a little bit. You don't need to adopt it. This is experience. But if we're going to change the world, it's a method of meditation that enables you to be sitting, concentrated, totally aware of your Dharma. So, spirituality, in a sense, It's the way to gain experience, to live, to experience that Dharma in yourself. This is key. And Dharma has nothing to do with desires. It has nothing to do with needs. Dharma is. This is your contract. You came to the planet not parachuting. Somehow you belong to an order. And that is your Dharma. Your Dharma is different from my Dharma, It doesn't mean that mine is better. No, it is. It just is. And if we are all here together, and if we're going to change the world together, it is fundamental that the instrument of meditation locates you in your Dharma. Because that's what you need to give us. You don't need to give us what I have to give. What I have to give, I have to give. But for me, was an incredible experience in my throat, grabs me because I get emotionally into Dharma. But it was an incredible experience after practicing meditation that I was able to sit on my Dharma and see the light of Dharma. Everywhere is light. You are light, I am light. This is light, the floor is light. Everything has energy that you can say is light. But there is only one light that really matters, is the light of your Dharma. And so we need a method that shows you exactly where that Dharma is and where that light is in yourself. Once in Dharma, you enter into this beautiful process of experiential exploration of yourself. Who are you? The only way to answer that is by an experience. And the best experience that I had in 4 months was to find myself sitting on who I am from the point of view of my Dharma. And I think you begin to the road of enlightenment or salvation, whatever you practice, only from the point of view of Dharma, because that is your only reference point, actually. Outside, there is no reference point for you. Inside, there are many reference points. Your emotions, your mind, and so on. But the one that matters, that is sitting there, absolutely center, is your Dhamma. And so you begin this experience of exploring yourself, this experience to walk into enlightenment. You begin your self-discovery, and also you begin to find your self-realization. And last but not least, you find the stages that is given to you by your body of light. You don't only have this human body, but you have this energy body. So we cannot be passive observers in changing the world. We cannot detach from the world if we want to change it. And this is something that that is important. I like to say a couple of words about the refinement of the mind. I found out in my experience by following this meditation that we will do tonight that the mind is refined faster when it rests. We know this. This is an experience we have every day. If you are in a nerve wreck situation, your mind is impossible to align with anything. It's impossible to refine it. Actually, you get even more animal than anything else. So I know this because I have had that experience many years in my life, that you know that your mind is not there. And so the refinement of the mind is not only your meditation method, but it has to be a method that enables the mind to rest. And the mind rests in very specific points in your body. The first point where the mind rests is for the men on the right nostril and for women on the left nostril. I want to see your finger pointing at that point. The second area where the mind rests and increases its effectiveness in refining itself and going to Dharma is near your eye if you are a man on the right and if you're a woman on the left. Number 2, base 2. Base 3 is at the center of your brain. It's like you're going with a third part of number 1. You're going this way. And then you come down to base 4, which is behind at the end of your palate, but just vertically at the center. This is very much described also in Sanskrit meditations and so on. Base 5 is behind your Adam's apple, also vertically at the center. It's not in the Adam's apple. It's not the physical part. It's not the chakra. It's a point that is geometrically there for the mind to rest. And then base number 6, it's like at the center of your body, at the height of your navel. Just vertically. If you put yourself vertically, you're going to come to that point. And the last and not least, which is very important, is base 7, which is 2 fingers horizontally above the navel. Over the base 6. After I finish with this, there are many pictures here in this room that will tell you that. But I want to tell you that the essence of it is refinement of the mind, rest of the mind, Dharma. These 3 words I think are very important. And this means again that if we're going to be in these points and we're precise about them, then concentration again becomes a very important element, and not just, letting the mind goes on its own and aware. But I want to say that this is only one shoe of changing the world. We need another shoe to get the pair of shoes together. So this process of going inwards and finding tools that are effective and doing this meditation that takes the mind to the final stop, that rests the mind, refines the mind, and where the point of reference of the mind is Dharma, and your Dharma actually is located on base 6 and 7, So if you go there, then you are in Dharma, which is your point of reference. But we'll get to that. You will experience that in a minute. But we need another shoe. You cannot walk in life only with the inward stroke. You need an outward stroke. Can you imagine you just breathe in and you cannot breathe out? It's not possible. So we need an outward stroke that is compatible with the inward stroke that I have just described for the last half an hour. There must be a way we conduct life, we conduct human interaction among ourselves, that is compatible and reinforcing of this inward meditation, this inward stroke. So even if you have the inner as being the essence of changing the world, this needs to be balanced with the outer. It's not possible just to say, well, the outside world doesn't matter. No, it matters a lot. We have a human body, and that's why we're discussing this. If we didn't have a human body and we were just celestial beings, to talk about this it's an oxymoronic thing. So the other shoe is very important, that we have forms of human interaction, forms of decision making that enable us in the end, the inward and the outward stroke, to go together, so there is no incoherence between my spiritual work and my life. And this is something that we all know, because many people have this tremendous duality between the spirituality and the profession. Many people say, oh, you work at the World Bank and you are economist, how can you be so spiritual? Well, I never saw spirituality outside economics. I wrote my first article on spiritual economics 25 years ago. So I never seen that outside. Every activity in humanity has a spiritual seed. And if you don't self-realize that spiritual seed, the dharma of that profession, then you should not even practice it. You cannot be a lawyer if you have never self-realized justice. You cannot be a doctor if you have not self-realized life. You cannot be an architect if you don't self-realize the space. You cannot be an engineer if you have not self-realized time. You cannot be an economist if you have not self-realized trust. All of them have this spiritual seed. So I never saw that I had to get out of the bank to become a spiritual, because people say, wow, no, now you have a new life, you have a spiritual life. No, I always had my spiritual life. Actually, I was the founder of the spiritual, one of the founders, many people, the Spiritual Informant Society of the World Bank.